But in Greenville, in part, it's a mixed budget issue. In other words, you've got budgetary issues that are going to arise at some point in the future from fixed cost pensions and other things. And is that going to affect your ability to fund the money? I don't think so, because I think what you're looking at is dedicated revenue sources. For instance, the bomb tax is a dedicated revenue source. It's not going to be used for the other things in the budget. If you've got a dedicated revenue source, it might actually help in the future if your community is stronger and your tax base is better because you improve the schools. But the short of it is, I think they're independent considerations.
A little bit skeptical that Baltimore will be able to raise the total amount of revenue to do the whole package. And the question is, could you supply us? We are a fairly low wealth jurisdiction within the context of the state of Maryland. Could you supply us with some data that will help us understand how Greenville's wealth per pupil and our wealth per pupil match up? And then I have a second question, which is how do we protect ourselves from Wall Street sharks? We're reading a lot about credit default swaps and LIBORs, and we want to do this, but we don't want to get it.
Thank you. That's a question I'd love to answer. I'm going to start with the first one out of the way, though. Data can be compiled on the relative wealth and the consequences of relative wealth. But what I can tell you in South Carolina is that we didn't just employ this for Greenville. Greenville has a pretty high wealth per pupil, and I'm talking about it in terms of assessed value per student head. But we did this also for some of the poorest school districts in the state of South Carolina. Two of them, Lee County School District is one of the 3 poorest school districts in the state, and we used the same funding mechanism for them as we did here. So it's not dependent upon wealth per student head. It is dependent upon the revenue stream, but it's not, okay. As for the second question, I'm standing up here telling you that we did something that was really weird and radical and fancy and all that sort of stuff, right? I don't like really weird, fancy, and radical stuff. We stay away from derivatives. We stay away from any kind of financial product. It's the financial products which give people, because it's one of the reasons I stay away from stuff is if I can't explain it in words that the people that I'm talking to understand, then we shouldn't be doing it. If the decision maker can't understand what we're doing, this is not a good idea. And to some extent, I think the financial products actually rely on convincing you that it's a good idea and no, you're not supposed to understand it and don't bother your pretty little head with these considerations. Do bother your pretty little head with these considerations, because if they can't explain it to you in a way that you can understand it, run. Absolutely. So all of the financings that we did were straight up long-term fixed rate financings. Real simple, plain vanilla financings. I mean, the rest of that stuff was complicated, but the financing itself was relatively